I think it's been like 12 days since I posted the last video. I've been working on so much stuff and I haven't found any time to edit anything, but I do have a lot of cool updates for you guys. I started to go full force with the scooter idea. So the app is finished, the backend is finished. I have our prototype right here that you can sort of see. I've been working on that. One area of expertise that I don't know much about is PCB design, and we'll need one to augment these scooters. They run on 60 volts, which is going to prove a bit of a challenge to make work with a 3.3 volt microcontroller, which is what we're using to control these over a cellular network. But we'll get it figured out. So that's another thing too, is like when you work on new ideas, oftentimes you find yourself having to learn things that you didn't otherwise know, which is good. On that note though, we did do testing of demand in Bellevue, which is the popular city nearby where I live, and it was pretty good. Like, I was very surprised by people's response to this thing when we had it out there with some writing on it. People were walking up to it, people were super like interested and curious about it, they're sitting on it taking pictures. One kid actually, he went to try and use it, and we had after watching people walk by it for a while, we had put the keys in it and turned the light on and sitting off on the curbside just watching people's reaction to it. And this kid comes up to it and we had a number on it, said text to ride. He texts the number. It's not even a number that was set up, it just logs the texts that come in so we can see how many people texted it. But it sends like a default response back, and he's like, oh huh, and then like he gets on the scooter and he starts riding it away, and I had to go chase after him, just be like, no, it's just a test, we're just seeing if like this is something people think is cool. I don't have GPS on.
I'm gonna have to.
Oh dude.
Okay, how the hell are we gonna find it then?
I don't know. But he was super cool about it. He's like, yeah, this thing was amazing. I rode it down like 2 blocks of the street, and it was like, it seems super fun. And so yeah, I just talked to him more about it, and he was super psyched on it. He said they're way better than the Limes he's ridden, or the Bird scooters he's ridden. A lot faster, a lot more comfortable. So yeah, it's a good response. We just need to get these done. The last piece is the hardware, which is close. The cellular functionality is all programmed. I have that pretty much done. I have pretty much all of the GPIO pin interfaces figured out. It's just making the PCB that we can just plug in quickly to these scooters to be able to drop, 60 volt signals to 3 volt signals for the information we need, and also to control 60 volt switches for turning like the motor controller and stuff on. Not too hard, but again, I've never done PCB design and manufacture them at scale, right? So I've done like breadboarding stuff, and this is a breadboard. You just plug in like simple circuits into them, you can test them without soldering anything. But so yep. Here's the shared app running my simulator. I've tested it on devices and everything. I built it in React Native, so everything is already fully functional on Android and iOS. I have our developer account just about set up, just waiting for the confirmation call from Apple to get the A-OK for everything, and then we'll have a developer account, can start submitting the app on the iOS side, and we can submit it anytime on the Google side. But so yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Very clean landing screen. You can either log in with a phone number or log in with Facebook. I'll just use a random arbitrary phone number. Super simple phone number login. Your phone number is your login in this context. It's faster, and as soon as you log in, it'll text you a verification code. For testing in the test environment, I'm just using 000. In the real environment, our backend will send you a code. Login, super simple start. Shows your current location, shows you little pins for the scooters nearby. You can tap to see the details of the scooters. Also, you'll see that the frames are very jerky on the simulator. This is not the case on a real device. Simulators are always much, much more leggy. This thing is smooth as butter when I run it on a phone or any Android device or any iOS device. So yeah, you can tap any marker for any available scooter. It shows you pricing. You can tap this, it'll give you walking directions straight to it. If you want to learn how to ride, you hit this. It tells you with a brief little onboarding what to do, find and unlock the scooter. Wear a helmet, don't be stupid, even though these things are much safer than the little 2-foot scooters that you push around on. It shows you a little interface of how to ride them. You have your front and rear brakes and a twist throttle. Cool little animation just saying where to ride. Ride in bike lanes, bike paths, do not ride on sidewalks, you know, the standard stuff. We have information on how to park it, using the kickstand, don't block paths, doorways, and also when you finish your ride, it tells you what you do when you end your ride. So yeah, that's brief onboarding, tells you what to do. So I built in intercom support from the very get-go, so anytime anyone has a problem, they can just click the little exclamation point button up here and they can go straight into an intercom conversation with our team. Same thing over here, we have a help button, does the same thing. It brings up your previous conversations, and you can see I have a help right there as a test conversation. You have two other options. So charge and earn, that's a pretty standard one you've seen with like Bird and Lime, where you have third-party people going around, and in our case they'll be swapping batteries. They will not be picking up full scooters. So our scooters will have a lock top and a quick disconnect battery, and we'll be having people swap batteries if they're charging and earning. And start a fleet, we planned on, for quick scale, to offer a subsidization model, which I talked about in a lot of videos previously, where anyone can start a fleet in their city and we'll help them with regulations. They basically buy the hardware off of us. We take a 20% commission on every ride of their scooters, but the scooters are branded, shared still. It's more like a franchising opportunity, but it should let us scale a little quicker. So yeah, if I want to start a ride, let's say I go find this scooter over here. So in this case, like, I'm not going to scan it on the simulator, the camera doesn't work, but we have an alternative option. You can enter in the code of a scooter to unlock it. So in this case, this one's LGZY. If I hit ride, this would show like what my camera is actually pointing at if I ran it on a real device. But again, the simulator can't run a real camera. It's just how it works. So instead, I can just enter a scooter ID. This is like in the case that someone defaces the QR code on a scooter or something like that. So I can just type in LGZY. Unlock and ride. I haven't added a payment method because I'm a new user, so it'll prompt me to add my payment method first. In this case, it's a test environment, so we're using Stripe, and it's just a very basic 424242, etc. code, any expiration date, any CVC, and this will just give a fake card attached. Oh, I see. Well, there you go. This is what you get when you record a video in real time. I have a scooter. Let me go in and change this on the back end that currently has an active, that scooter is being ridden, and that's a bug. We shouldn't be showing scooters being ridden that are as available on the map, so we can go ahead and fix that real quick. Let's just drop the, yeah, we'll just empty out these tables of data. So the charges for rides and the actual rides. So now I should be able to go ahead and scan it, and we shouldn't get that error. There we go. And because I previously entered a payment method, now, you know, I got my timer ticking. The scooter would have unlocked remotely if I was standing next to it. We have this insane mode thing that we sort of played with adding. Because of the way these motor controllers are set up on these things, we can alter the throttle input scaling and how, you know, rapidly it accelerates and whatnot. So you can make these things actually feel quite a bit faster than they are. The top speed, we would never go over 20 miles per hour. That's the legal limit here in the US. But we can make them accelerate quicker and be more enjoyable up to 20 miles per hour. So we're going to have something like a insane mode, or, you know, something Tesla-esque where you can gimmickly make them faster. You can enable it. It would toggle something on the scooter in this case. So yeah, that's pretty much the basic interface. You just be riding around at this point, having fun. When you're done, just go ahead and park it. You'd open up the app, you'd hit end your ride, and we'll go and think. It'll give you your cost summary, the time, and the distance. It'll tell you you've been charged, ask you to rate the ride. 5 stars is just 5 stars, it'll hide this. But we also have a thing where, let's say you had a poor experience, you give it a 2 out of 5. We'll ask you, like, what can we do better? And we'll ask you for feedback. And as soon as you do that, it'll pop you into an intercom conversation telling you to send your feedback. So, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the app. Super simple. It took about, I'd say it took me about 7 to 8 days to build this, which is great because it runs on Android, iOS. It's fully fleshed out. It's a very strong base for us to build off of. The code quality, in my opinion, came out very well. Maybe took about 60 hours of work. Not too bad. But yeah, that's the app. I'm pretty excited about it. Now we just got to get the hardware and get one of these things out there to have people really using it. So I have a friend Mo who's helping out with this project. He did some awesome renderings from scratch of the scooters, so we could visualize design without having to like mock one angle in Photoshop, so we could see it from all angles. So yeah, that's what he went ahead and did, and we came up with this design of white frame, black seat, black handlebars with red fenders to pop, so that these things are super visible in public. We'll probably even make the fenders somewhat reflective, so they're even safer when you're riding at night. These things do have headlights and brake lights too, so super safe. But you can kind of see the design. We have shared on the front. It says $1 to start. We'll have $1 to start or something like that on the grip tape. We are still sort of playing with pricing, so the $1 to start might change and the price per minute might change. I think these are different enough modality from the current foot scooters that we're not going to have to be required in order to be competitive to lock ourselves into that $1 per start and 15 cent per minute unlock, but that's yet to be seen. I'll just go through designs for you guys a little bit. So it's a front view, it's a back view. Some of the font sizings will probably be increased. This is, again, just a render. This is a side view, another side view, GPS track. Maybe we'll add some more stuff to it later, but it's clean, it's simple, it pops, it's super unique looking, and I think it'll get a lot of attention, probably a lot of views, just based on what we saw from those tests. This top part, that's the headlight on the top. It's QR code, it has instructions and whatnot on how to use it. Go to the trideshare.com, it'll allow you to download the app right away. Then you scan and go. A top angled view. This, I think he was repositioning the fender a little bit, trying some different fender positioning. Another side view, another top view. So yeah, that's our current designs. I should say too, like, we get these things from China, right? Like, for the cost point that we have them, but these things do not come ready to be deployed, right? So like anything, for all of them, we're going to have to figure out how to quickly rip them apart and augment them with our tech and our hardware. I don't think it'll be too much of a challenge. It's just really designing a pluggable PCB that goes into all the current connectors and is able to interface with the scooter by default. And then applying vinyl branding and then doing a QA check on the scooters, each scooter, making sure they're fine. It will probably prove challenging to pump a lot of these out early on. I'd say maybe it wouldn't be unlikely that we could do like 20, 25 a day to start if we have a lot of units coming in. But I think scaling up is just a matter of process and manpower, so it shouldn't be too bad. The cost modeling on these works out. It's about the same margins as the other scooters, more or less, depending on... What is my cat doing? Cat, what are you doing? She's being weird. She's like climbing on the wall over there. But yeah, so our margins are going to be dependent on where we can sort of position ourselves demand-wise relative to, all the existing alternative methods of short transport, last mile transport. But I don't know, it comes down to me basically thinking like, if there can be, a Toyota and a Honda and whatnot in the car world, if the scooter world could be viewed at roughly similarly, why can't there be like a Mercedes-Benz or a better quality, more enjoyable, more luxurious, comfortable, or in this case, more thrilling, the Porsche to like the Toyota Honda equivalent of the scooter world? And I think it can be. It's a really big space. So we'll see what happens. The next week is really me getting the PCB design done and pushing it out to manufacturers and getting our first boards into test. And also, ideally, within the next week, getting this one prototype out on the streets to have people actually start using, which I think will be very doable. So yeah, it's been crazy. This has moved a lot faster than I thought it would. I think there's maybe, I probably have maybe 150, 200 hours into this project, and it's coming along. We're almost ready to deploy. There's a lot of stuff to still do, but the expertise required for this sort of thing has fit really well with my past experience, and I've been pretty happy about that. So I'll keep you guys updated. Hopefully this video didn't go too long, and yeah, thanks for sticking around and watching.